this down or email me right my job email, and then I'll forward you the link to that training that I did. I recorded it for CECs of Wisconsin.
All right, it's 5:30. I'd like to call to order tonight's regular Board of Education meeting for Wednesday, June 17th, 2026 here in the boardroom. Can we have a roll call, please, Tammy?
Mike Cornisher.
Here.
Paul Prue.
Here.
John Smith.
Here.
Donna Borpago Gunther.
Here.
Brett Waller.
Here.
Nub Zashbeck.
Here.
Amber Dorizo.
Here.
Jacqueline Gremler.
Here.
Kevin Blake.
Here. Please join me as you're able. Face the flag for our Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Merrill Area Public Schools Board of Education meeting. MAPS respects the role that our elected board members serve and the function of our board meetings. Board members and administrators are committed to working collaboratively to provide our students with the highest levels of achievement. This meeting is a formal event, and professional conduct is the expectation for all in attendance. Thank you.
Thank you, Shannon. Before we get into official board recognition, I guess I'd like to take a quick moment and welcome Donna to our board.
Thank you.
Welcome. Thank you for putting yourself out there and joining us. So, first on our agenda this evening is that recognition I was talking about. The board would like to recognize this evening Mary Small for her extraordinary efforts in organizing a special needs prom experience for our students with disabilities. Mary's dedication went far beyond simply planning an event. She personally created invitations. She secured formal attire for students, organized a special dinner at Salvo's, arranged transportation to the dance, and even handcrafted corsages and boutonnieres for students and chaperones alike. Her attention to detail and commitment to making the evening special ensured that every student felt valued, included, and celebrated. Thanks to Mary's hard work and generosity, our students enjoyed an unforgettable experience filled with joy, friendship, and lasting memories. We're grateful for the compassion, creativity, and dedication that Mary brings to our school community each and every day. Here's to recognizing Mary. Thank you, Mary. Next on our agenda, we have administrative reports. Just a reminder, if board members have clarifying questions about administrative reports, they can contact Shannon or myself or that administrator prior to the meeting, or they can ask questions directly during this portion of the agenda. Turn it over to Shannon.
Thanks. Item A on the administrative reports is the Corbison Transportation update, and with us tonight is Bill Whitehead. He's going to kind of do a little first-year recap for us.
So, for those who don't know me, I'm William Whitehead, terminal manager at Corbison. I started in December, and Friday will be my last day. But, sorry about that. I'm going back to work with the military. So, so from September 1st on through June 1st, route data-wise, 65 routes. This includes morning route, middays, solo runs, and then the evening routes. We put on 353,486 miles on the buses. That's 30 buses total. Transporting students, 979 students. This includes, just like I said, all the 65 routes. That's per day that we run. Route changes, we had 335 changes throughout the year that we have recorded. A lot of that happened right at the end of the day, or end of the year, with 17 closing. When we closed the bridge on 17, it rerouted 57 different students. So we had to completely reroute a lot of that. Right now we run 24 dedicated routes, which are morning and evening. They're all in the same numbers that we are we're working on today and throughout the summer to reduce to 22. So we're going to actually consolidate some of those students and then some of those routes to make it more clear. Because we started last year, that information, we took what Wendorf had and what the district had, and with that, we consolidated one, which was Route 7. That one's going to go away, or one went away, and then we're going to look at two more for that. Trip data, we did 658 trips for the school district. This includes St. John's, Trinity, Pine River, NTC, or the New Testament Church, the high school, of course, regular parochial, and the non-parochial schools, which include 49,847 miles on the buses. Referrals, count referrals was 258. Problems that were sent to the principals for clarification to adjudicate. Cobuson does not adjudicate any of those. Whatever the school wants to, and the school district itself deems necessary for their consequences, we just put them in the system. We do ask that we remind the principals at the end of the year that they clean them up. We still have 11 outstanding. We'll get with each one of the principals. We just want to make that a reminder that those need to be done in a timely manner, because we had some that lasted 4 and 5 months, but you can't discipline a child 4 or 5 months after they did something. And some of them were, damage to the bus, which needed to be taken care of, but never did. So I do have a breakout. I will leave this with you, Shannon, of the information that I have, and it includes mileage per month, the amount of trips, the amount that cost to the district, and then also all of our trip data. So I have trips, and then I have routes, and that's all I have. Anybody have any questions for me?
I will say that when we brought Cobuson on, our goal at the start of the year was to kind of replicate what Wendorf was doing to make it easiest on the families. Like, we didn't want a big change. You guys delivered on that. And then pretty shortly in, discovered some efficiencies that we could have by cutting Route 7, which I appreciate. As the board knows, we had, as a budget reduction, we've looked at reducing 2 routes for next year, and they're coming through with that. And so Cobuson has been very, very easy to work with. Bill, Ashley, everybody at the depot has been great. Nick and I meet with Joe Cobuson and his brother usually about every other week. It's scheduled every week, but sometimes we just don't have anything to talk about. So it's been a real smooth transition. I appreciate what you guys have done.
Thanks, sir.
Yeah. And best wishes in your new career.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item B is the food service participation report from Laura Krause. If anybody has any questions, I can forward on those. That's a pretty cut and dry report each month. Item C is the Director of Pupil Services Special Education Director's Report. Amber is in Florida on vacation, and so this was shared at CTP last week and discussed. She went through some data regarding enrollments and participation levels at MAC, as well as some homeless information in our district, which is down considerably this year from the past year, which is a positive. Item D is the Director of Curriculum Instruction Report. Amanda shared this at CTP as well. Her presentation focused on spring data, particularly in the area of our Literacy Together efforts. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to discuss that, or I can forward those on to Amber for you as well. I'm sorry, Amanda. She's out of the office. She's on vacation this week as well. Item E is the school forest final report provided by Russ Nolan. He had a very thorough report that's attached about participation levels, activities. He's got a schedule done for next year. As you know, Russ is retiring, and so this was his final report. He's leaving our school forest in very good hands in a lot of ways, and Morgan Wilde is taking over for him, and she's been shadowing him already this spring, and I would expect that to be a very smooth transition. So we're looking forward to what Morgan can bring up there as well. Item F is the English Learners Report that was provided by Ryan Martinovich at CTP as well. He ran through their final summary report, talked about some of the changes. By way of reminder, what was formerly in the past an aide position, we made a not quite a full FTE, I think it's a 0.8 teacher position out there for our EL students, and we're seeing real positive results from that as well, so that was a good move, and we appreciate the board's support on that. Susan Ply is doing a great job getting our students prepared for those transitions. Item G is the Director of Finance budget update, and Mark Powell talked about revenues and expenses gave some preliminary budget information, which is item H as well. With Mark, he shared that HR Finance. If Mark is here, if anybody has any questions for him. Item I, Director of Human Resources Support, report. Heather's here this evening. Talked about open enrollment process. That's about our new insurance transition. Some information on liquidated damage, self-bill rates, et cetera, et cetera. She is here if anybody has any questions for her on her report. Item J is the Director of Buildings and Grounds Transportation update. Nick is here this evening. He provided some information on facilities. He'll talk a little bit about some handbook changes on busing that are approved by the board every year. And so if anybody has any questions for Nick, he's here as well. And then my report is going to be just a verbal report. I just want to talk about some of the work that we've done with continuous improvement planning teams and our SAIL teams. As the board knows, we had our formal work with ASA on the SAIL process ended at the end of last year, and so we are continuing with that work on our own. We are ready to do it on our own now, and so we wanted to bring in the school improvement teams into that process, and so we spent 2 days, one day up at the school forest with just the admin team, talking about looking at our data, talking about our planning, our 100-day planning processes and those kind of things. And then on the second day, we brought in the individual, all the buildings, but each building continuous improvement team to walk them through that SAIL process, to get them engaged in 100-day planning, goal setting in their own buildings. A lot of the work, our challenge for this year, as you can see by our data, is we've made some nice gains on the English language side or ELA side of things. We have some work now to do in math, and so we want to make sure that we keep our foot on the accelerator in ELA and not lose the momentum that we've got. We find that to be very validating to the efforts that we've put in the last couple of years towards ELA. But now we've got to switch our attention to math and start getting those same results, so that was kind of the focus of that. When I have those reports done before the start of the school year, I will share those out with the board and we'll kind of take a peek at everybody's 100-day planning process. The goal is to have it all aligned still, and so we stress that with the principals, we stress that with the continuous improvement teams, that here's what we are doing at the district level, what's tied to our strategic plan, our annual plan, our 100-day plans, and building plans. It's all got to be aligned, and so I think we're at a place where we can continue to do that and kind of give the buildings freedom within fences, I guess is probably the best way to say that, and to stick with the themes and the work that we're doing and kind of monitor it that way. And that's all I have.
All right. Thank you, Shannon. I think we should.
Okay, sorry.
All right. I'm going to take a step back here before I go into committee reports. I see Mary was able to join us. Mary Small is here. The board's recognizing her this evening for her extraordinary efforts in organizing the special needs prom experience for our students with disabilities. So why don't you come and receive your certificate and our thanks and recognition for doing so. Picture.
Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay.
Can you tell us a little bit about the evening? I mean, I read and
It was
heard.
very fun, actually. We were able to rent a private room at Salvo's where we all gathered, and we kind of made it special and fancy. We had like an arbor and candles and kind of the whole 9 yards. And just, we all wanted them to be able to enjoy an inclusive prom and not have something separate. And it was enjoyed by the adults and the students that attended.
Thanks for the Mary.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thanks again, Mary, for all your efforts on that. Much appreciated. I'm going to shift gears here to our committee reports. Attached were the draft minutes, starting with Finance Human Resources Committee that met on June 10th. John Smith, as chair, is available for questions, along with other members of our HR Finance Committee. Any board members have questions for the HR Finance Committee? based on that last meeting. Otherwise, we will move on to our CTP, our Curriculum Technology Pupil Services Committee met on that same day, June 10th. I was acting as chair. The incoming chair, Brett Waller, had other things going on, so feel free to ask questions, board member questions for our CTP committee. Seeing and hearing none, I'll move on to unfinished business. We have nothing currently categorized as unfinished business, so let's get started on the Board of Education business this evening. First thing there is the approval of policy 5136, the personal communication devices. Just for a little recollection, we did table this back in February and March, waiting for some further review and some more data to be provided. So I would look for a motion. There is one recommended by our CTP committee. Any board member willing to make a motion on this agenda item tonight? Paul?
Motion to approve policy 5136, personal communication devices, with revisions as a second reading.
A motion by Paul. Do we have a second? We have a second by Mike. Any questions or discussion on this motion or agenda item? Any questions or discussion on this motion or agenda item? Hearing none, all those in favor of that motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed, say nay. Do we have any abstentions? Motion carries. The next item is the approval of the transportation handbook for the 2026-2027 school year. Attached was a topic summary sheet from Nick Wazalik. There is a recommended motion from our Finance Human Resources Committee. Any board members willing to make a motion on this agenda item? Mike?
Motion to approve the 2026-2027 transportation handbook.
We have a motion by Mike. Do we have a second? Second by Nubbs. Any questions or discussion on that motion or this agenda item? Any questions or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of that motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? Motion carries. Next item on our agenda is the approval of the AGR Achievement Gap Reduction Objectives. The topic summary sheet was provided by Amanda Patterson, Heather Carr, and Megan Kautzer. A recommended motion comes from our CTP committee. Any board members willing to make a motion on this agenda item? Jacqueline?
Motion to approve the AGR end-of-year report.
Motion by Jacqueline. Do we have a second? Second by Paul. Any discussion or questions in regards to this agenda item or its corresponding motion? Brad?
Shannon, and you can maybe, if you want to do this in an email, it's fine, so I apologize, I wasn't here last week. Stupid technicality. But how did, so each school, so Cape Goodrich and Washington, you have a goal set and like the rubric that's attached.
Yep.
Where does that goal come from? So like I'm reading the first one for reading, it's 100% of Cape Goodrich students will demonstrate growth on the Ames Web assessment. Like where does that?
Yeah, so that's our overarching goal. So when we do our 100-day planning and our annual plan, we have our goal to be 100% of our kids either reach their stretch goals or their goals and or the benchmark. And we, you know, 100% is ambitious, but it's kind of like which 10 kids are you not gonna, you know, have that goal for, or whatever the number is. And so in our case, we wanted, and we've been kind of focusing on this for some time about taking a kid where they're at and getting to them to a place.
Okay.
So that's why we focus on either their growth goal is defined by Ames Web or iReady, or their stretch goal if they're at risk or well behind, or if they're already proficient, you know, there's only so high you can go.
Okay, so I think we've had this conversation before about like goal setting, right? Where it's like, so you get 100%, 100% we got 85.
Yeah.
So like at a certain point, do you keep it like that? Or, so like, I guess if I read the rubric right, we didn't hit a single goal in the whole thing.
Yeah, so most places, you know, kind of the threshold is 80%. You know, you want to get 80% of your kids to a place. But we had kind of a philosophical discussion about which 20% are you going to not get there. it's a little bit of window dressing, but it's a goal to shoot for. And
Okay.
so we're satisfied when we hit the 85s and those kind of things, knowing full well that that's not the goal, but our overarching goal is 100%.
Sure, okay. I guess I'm just, so like, as so you go through the rubric and it's just kind of like shocking, right? Like you see it and it's like, okay, so you have 75% as one goal in math and we hit 57.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like at a certain point, do you leave it at that, where it's just a constant, for
Yeah.
lack of a better term, failure? Or do we adjust to be realistic?
Well,
So that back to like, it's a philosophical
Yeah.
disagreement on goals, but like, so like I go through and read it and it's like, I didn't highlight a single one green because we didn't hit a single one,
sure,
right?
yeah.
So like, I'm curious on that.
I mean, that's maybe semantics, maybe philosophy, I don't know.
Okay.
If you want to back it out to 80%, so we start hitting them, you know.
Well, I'm.
Yeah, and I understand what you're saying. Now, on the math side, so our goals in the past couple of years have been focused on ELA.
Yep.
And so now it's ELA and math coming into the school year.
Sure.
And so we'll start hopefully seeing similar growth like we've seen out of ELA. I guess I'd be open for a discussion here with our team about an 80%. Heather, Megan, you got any thoughts?
Well,
on that?
I said, normally this is a committee level discussion,
Yeah.
so it's not,
Yeah.
I'm looking for an answer, I guess
Sure.
I'm just curious on it, so.
Yeah, you know, again, it's kind of like if our 80% is a reasonable goal, I think most people use that as a threshold to measure like successful movement of students. But we did have a little discussion about which 20% are you not holding the move
Sure,
kind of
yeah.
thing. And again, that's semantics, I suppose. But,
Okay.
yeah.
John, go ahead.
I think, what I interpret your question is a goal is to be attainable, but 100% is never attainable. So, one of the questions that came from your question is there some sort of national benchmark, local benchmark? So what is the average Joe in the different district, 30 minutes, 60 minutes away, set for his or her school's goal? for
80
these
is a
things?
real common.
Okay.
80% is a real common. So if you can get 80% success on any initiative that would involve students, then you hit that benchmark.
Jacqueline, go ahead.
Couldn't you just, my thought was on the same line, couldn't you just expand on the goal, like explain it? Like MAPS believes in a philosophy where we will ensure to strive that every student or 100% achieves this goal, however, knowing the state standard is expected around 80%. You could just explain it out
Yeah.
so that you have both, but also to capture Brett's point of you may not be able to achieve everybody.
Yeah. That's a good point. Does that capture what?
Yeah, I guess what it comes back to is, so that we have an agenda item every year of approving AGR objectives. So we're approving this, which I understand, but then we're also approving that we never succeed
Yeah.
in achieving the goal that we write down.
Sure.
So that's kind of where I stumbled upon this the last couple of years, and now I've just decided to drill down on it, I
Yeah,
guess.
that's good. We'll have a discussion at the central office level about that. Yeah. I understand completely what you're saying.
Any additional questions or discussion on this agenda item or its corresponding motion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor of that motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, say nay. Do you have any abstentions? Motion carries. Next item on our agenda is the approval of the 8th grade Washington DC, New York trip. Topic summary sheet was provided by Cassandra Schultz, Jolene Honig, and Hazley Bennell. The recommended motion from our CTP committee. Any board member willing to make a motion on this agenda item? Mike?
Motion to approve the 8th grade trip to Washington DC, New York City trip for June of 2027.
We have a motion by Mike. Do we have a second? Second by Nubbs. Any discussion or questions in regards to this agenda item or corresponding motion? Any discussion or questions? Hearing none, all those in favor of that motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, say nay. Do you have any abstentions? Motion carries. Next item on our agenda is the approval of the Merrill High School Band and Choir trip to Florida being proposed for March of 2020. Topic summary sheet was provided from the high school from Tricia Dieter, Ellie Wilk, and Braden Belisle. Is that? CTP committee has a recommended motion. Do we have a board member willing to make a motion on this agenda item? Donna?
Motion to approve the Merrill High School Band and Choir trip to Florida for March of 27.
A motion by Donna. Do we have a second? We have a second by Mike. Any discussion or questions in regards to this agenda item or the corresponding motion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? Motion carries. Next item on our agenda is the approval of the MAPS school nurse contract. Being revised is the number of days. Attached was a topic summary sheet from Amber Haluska. Both the CTP and Finance HR committees have recommended a motion. Any board member willing to make a motion on this agenda item? John?
Motion to approve the adjustment of the district's school nurse annual contract from 181 days to 190 days, including flexible MSI days beginning the 2026-27 school year, and an increase of approximately $3,174.
We have a motion by John. Do we have a second? Second by Brett. Any discussion or questions in regards to this agenda item or its corresponding motion? Any discussion or questions? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, say nay. Do you have any abstentions? Motion carries. Next item on our agenda is the approval of grades 6 through 8 ELA English Language Arts Resource Adoption. Attached was a topic summary sheet from Amanda Patterson. This had been reviewed at both CTP and Finance Human Resources committees, where they provided a recommended motion. Any board members willing to make a motion on this agenda item? Paul?
Motion to approve the purchase of Savas, My Perspectives for grades 6 through 8 as a universal ELA resource for the next 6 school years, in the amount of $91,767.40 to be paid from CNI and Title II funds.
We have a motion by Paul. Do we have a second? We have a second by John. Any discussion or questions in regards to this agenda item or its corresponding motion? Any discussion or questions? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? Motion carries. Next on our agenda is the approval of the 2026-2027 property casualty and liability insurance coverage. Attached is a topic summary sheet from Mark Paul that was reviewed at the Finance HR Committee with the recommended motion. Any board members willing to make a motion on this agenda item? Mike?
Motion to approve the 2026-27 insurance coverages as presented.
Motion by Mike. Do we have a second? Second by Nubbs. Any discussion or questions in regards to this agenda item or corresponding motion? Any discussion or questions? Hearing none, all those in favor of that motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? Motion carries. Next on our agenda is the annual review of contracts for services over $10,000 for fiscal year '27. That topic summary sheet was also presented by Mark Powell, reviewed by or at our Finance Human Resources Committee, provided a recommended motion. Any board members willing to make a motion on this agenda item? John?
I move to approve the continuation of the contracts with vendors and purchases as presented for the 2026-2027 fiscal year with cost variances not to exceed the lower of 5% or $10,000.
A motion by John. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second by Paul. Any questions or discussion in regards to this agenda item or its corresponding motion? Any discussion or questions? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? Motion carries. Next on our agenda is the approval of the resolution designating district depositories, and that came from a topic summary from Mark Powell, reviewed at Finance Human Resources. Do we have any board members willing to make a motion in regards to this agenda item? Mike?
Motion to approve the designation of the Credible Bank PMA Financial Network and Wisconsin Investment Series Cooperative as the district's designated depositories for the 2026-27 fiscal year.
A motion by Mike. Do we have a second? Second by John. Any discussion or questions in regards to this agenda item or the corresponding motion? Any discussion or questions? Hearing none, all those in favor of that motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? Motion carries. Next on our agenda is some technical corrections that are made throughout the policy manual to change the district compliance officer from Mark Powell to Ryan Martinovich. Per our bylaw 0131.3, the superintendent is authorized to review and make technical corrections to policies that have already been adopted through the normal rulemaking process and procedures. It goes through the list where the new district compliance officer, where that shows that change from Mark to Ryan. So this is just information only, bringing that to your attention this evening. Moving on to our consent agenda. Before I ask someone for a motion on consent agenda, I would ask if any board members would like any of the items being reviewed or put together on the consent agenda to be pulled from the consent agenda to be handled individually. Seeing nobody's hand up, I would ask for a board member to motion for consent agenda this evening. John?
Motion to approve consent agenda items A through D, which includes the minutes of May 13th, 2026 and June 3rd, 2026 meetings, claims, vouchers, and receipts totaling $3,356,906.61, donations totaling $8,405, and the attached personnel report, contingent upon release of contract for hirings and upon the satisfaction of the appropriate liquidated damages for resignations if relevant.
We have a motion by John. Do we have a second? Second by Paul. All those in favor of that motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, say nay. Do we have any abstentions? Donna, would it be all right to abstain from May 13th on your behalf? That'd be great. Thank you. That motion is approved. Next on our agenda is items for future meetings. At this time, the purpose of this agenda item is to identify any topics to be visited or revisited at a future either committee meeting or board member or regular board meetings. We do have a couple items that we're keeping an eye on, particularly we just got some data this spring on things going on facility-wise at the middle school. Any other items that we would like to discuss to be added to that list for moving forward? Otherwise, as we get more data, we will continue to refresh that list, add to that. Just that reminder, as we get going on future committee meetings or board meeting agendas, feel free to reach out to Shannon or myself, and we will put those in for discussion. Reminder that tomorrow morning, the radio program is on almost every Thursday for MAPS. Takes place approximately 8:15 a.m. Blue Jay 730 radio station. Will go through tonight's meeting and any events going on in the district. Future meetings, our CTP, Curriculum Technology Pupil Services Committee, next meets on Wednesday, July 8th, 4:30 p.m. in the boardroom, followed by Finance Human Resources, like I said, same night, Wednesday, July 8th, can start no sooner than 5 p.m. Our next regularly scheduled board meeting is Wednesday, July 15th, 5:30 p.m. here in the boardroom. This time, we have a contemplated motion to adjourn into executive closed session pursuant to Wisconsin statutes under section 19.85 paren 1 paren F, considering financial, medical, social, or personal histories or disciplinary data of specific persons, preliminary consideration of specific personnel problems, or the investigation of charges against specific persons, except where paren B applies, which, if discussed in public, be likely to have a substantial adverse effect upon the reputation of any person referred to. Such histories or data are involved in such problems or investigations, and 118.125 to discuss other matters involving student records and personal histories that, if discussed in public, likely have a substantial adverse effect on the reputation of the persons discussed. Purpose of the closed session would be to review the pre-expulsion history chart. Any board member willing to make that motion this evening? John, and a second by Paul. Do we have a roll call on that, please, Tammy?
Mike Cornisher.
Aye.
Paul Krug.
Aye.
John Smith.
Aye.
Donna Borpauer Gunther. Brett Lawler.
Aye.
Matt Zashbeck.
Aye.
Amber DeRosa.
Aye.
Jacqueline Gremler.
Aye.
Kevin Blake.
Aye. Thank you all for your attendance. We will secure the room and go into closed session shortly. Thank you.
See you guys.